So today I am joined by an amazing guest. She is a senior World Bronze Medalist, a Team Canada wrestler, Commonwealth Games silver medalist, senior Pan Am American champion, two times University World Medalist, two times Francophone Games medalist. And on top of Beyond the Podium, she has her Bachelor of Recreation and Sports Studies, Bachelor of Arts and Honors in Psychology, and a Master's of Education in Counseling. So she also serves as the executive director for Lutte, New Brunswick Wrestling, assistant coach for the UNB Reds wrestling team and Black Bears Wrestling Club, and is also pursuing her competition development coaching certification. So that is quite a mouthful. That is a lot intersecting of kind of who you are. Thank you so much, Samantha Stewart, for being here on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
So I guess with all of that, let's start from the beginning. Like, it's amazing how you have all of this, like the psychology background, the education background, like a very high level athlete. On top of that, of course, if any of you watch your stories, traveling the world, foodie, which is amazing, for after my heart.
Yeah, wherever I go, I have to make sure that I try the local cuisine.
I absolutely love it. So how did you get started? How did it all begin for you that you like fell in love with wrestling?
I guess if you want to start at the very beginning, I've always done some sort of like sport, physical activity. Basically as soon as I could walk, I was like in sports. My mom's a really big sports fan, so in our household growing up, sports were always on the TV. We had I mean, the general, like my mom is a huge football fan, so NFL, a huge baseball fan, so I grew up going to like Blue Jays games, hockey, basketball, also like amateur sport. My mom loves curling. She'll watch anything actually. She
Wow,
watches golf. She watches golf, like something that I would think people don't really think of golf when they think of like what's exciting to watch for sports, but she watches everything. Tennis, anything that's Team Canada, like when the Olympics are on, like it's playing 24/7 in our household. So that was kind of what I grew up in that environment. So I always knew, had this idea that I wanted to go to the Olympics and compete for Team Canada. I just didn't know in what. So I played so many different sports growing up. I tried like skating. I've played soccer for a while. I tried basketball, volleyball. I was too short for both of those, but played so many different sports growing up. And really, it wasn't until high school where I uh, didn't even start with wrestling. I actually started in grade 9. I wanted to play football, just because my mom's like a really big football fan. We always like all day Sunday is like the pregame show, like all the games, doesn't matter.
that's awesome.
And I was like, I want to play football. And so in my like grade 9 phys ed class, they had us sitting down for like the first class, explaining like the curriculum, like how it was going to work for the year. Everyone was asking all these questions, and they like divide it between like the guys' gym class and the girls' gym class. So it was the girls' gym class, and all the girls are asking about, is there going to be a dance team? Like, oh, do you guys have cheerleading? Like all these questions. And I kind of like stuck up my hand and I was like, when are football tryouts? And the teacher was tried to explain there was no girls football team. And I just was like, well, that's never like stopped me before doing anything. So I went and actually talked to like the men's football coach, and I tried out for the guys team. So I actually made the junior boys football team that year. I
Wow.
was the only girl on the team, which was hard in and of itself because some guys hated that. I
Yeah.
had a few guys that were like very supportive, and those guys were awesome. They were like my only friends on the team. And they were the ones who kind of said, what are you doing after football season? And I was like, I don't know. I hadn't thought like past this. It's just kind of like this was my like that the thing that I was gonna do. And they were like, oh, you should try wrestling. And at the time I'd never seen or watched like amateur wrestling before. So I was like, wrestling, like you mean like WWE? And it was very much not like WWE. In fact, my mom kind of knew when I came home and was like, I'm gonna join the wrestling team. She was like, oh, but like wrestlers are like the nerdy boys in school. Like, are you sure you want to do that? Because for like when she was in high school in like the like 70s, it was the guys with like the big like
A
bottle
bump.
glasses, and yeah. like the nerds of the school were the ones that were like considered like that did wrestling, I guess. And kind of when I look back at some of the stuff that they used to wear, like the guys' singlets and like what those guys looked like, I'm like, okay, yeah, like I could see how that was the perception. But it was totally different. Like it's totally different now. Wrestling is not just for nerds. Anybody can wrestle. And that's kind of what I liked about wrestling. So not only was I like now competing against other women, but then you're also competing against people who are the same size as you.
Right.
Like playing football on like the guys' team was hard. Like my year, I think I only made the team because it was kind of like a transition year where we had like a lot of grade 9 guys. Because I did not play football in my grade 10 year because all those guys got bigger and stronger and I stayed the same size.
Right.
So I think it was like a like good like introduction, but I think, once guys get that like boost of testosterone and, start going through puberty, there's like that's when you see the huge like differences in physicality. And as somebody who's only like 5'2", and like my first year I wrestled 51 kilos, I was
Wow.
like yeah, I was not gonna like survive on like that guy's football team the following year, even with equipment. I still like had a hard time even in grade 9, like getting hit super hard. Just because of the nature of the sport. I feel like wrestling, while being a combat sport and being very abrasive, you are in close quarters.
Yeah.
So you don't have people like running at you to
Yeah.
tackle you. Like you're close to the person and you're on a mat. You're not like landing on hard like turf or ground.
Yeah.
So it is a lot easier. There's not people like charging you from a distance. So you have actually fewer injuries than some
Right.
of those other contact sports. So at first when I was trying it, I was like, okay, like I can kind of get this because a double leg takedown is basically the same as like a tackle in football. So it did kind of like come, I guess, naturally. And it wasn't until the first tournament of the season, we had like a rookie tournament where all the like first year wrestlers get to compete. And I actually like won that tournament. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe I'm actually like good at this. And then not to like, I'm gonna date myself a little bit by like saying, so that was the fall of 2003 in like November of 2003. That following summer in 2004 was the first time that women's wrestling was on the Olympic program.
Oh, wow.
So I actually got to watch women's wrestling at the Olympics that like next summer. And I was like, okay, like I just started wrestling. Like obviously I'm gonna watch it at the Olympics.
Yeah.
And I was like, this, I think, is my sport. Like, this is what I want to do. Like, I watched our Canadian athletes compete. I watched one of the Canadian wrestlers win a silver medal, and I was like, she competed at 55 kilograms and was also from Ontario. So I was like, oh, this is somebody who's like the same size from the same area. Like, I want to do that too.
That's really
So
cool.
from then on, I was just kind of like focused on this is what I want to do, and I'm going to make everything in my life align around what's going to make that happen. So I went from just wrestling at the high school to also joining the club in town, and then started competing at nationals, and then to making my national team. I That was actually how I ended up moving to New Brunswick,
Okay.
was because of wrestling. And so, yeah, I transferred to UNB. I was wrestling for the varsity team. That was when I made my first national team. Was my second year there, I believe. And yeah, I've been on the national team ever since 2011. So, yeah.
That's amazing. And in that, like, was there any like second guessing? Was there any like big hurdles like that you had to deal with while you were like from that moment of like, okay, this is the one I'm going to the Olympics for to
Well, I feel like it wasn't until later probably that, so I mean, when you're younger, it's like you're so focused on this goal, but you have that sense of like being that young up and comer, like underdog. It's like you're not expected to like win. You're not expected to be the one who goes to the Olympics. So along the way, it wasn't until like the biggest hurdle, I think, was when I ended up winning the Olympic trials, but had a wrestle off for the spot against another athlete who was also very competitive. And I ended up losing that wrestle off. And that was like really the biggest, like, I guess, emotional and like mental hurdle for me because it was one of those situations where I felt like I did everything right. I did everything I possibly could leading up to that moment, uh, including decisions like I didn't wrestle like my last year of high school, for example. I went to train like at Western to train with the varsity athletes because I knew that I wanted to like make that next step and that staying competing at a high school level wasn't going to get me there.
Right.
And then even the team at Western at the time, we only had mat practices. So when I was introduced to the team in New Brunswick and they had access to mental performance consultant for like sports psychology, they had access to a dietitian, they had a strength and conditioning coach who came to their practices and designed programs around like what the needs of wrestling were, like how to supplement with that like with strength training. And it's like I hadn't had access to that stuff before, and that was one of the major contributing reasons why I moved to Fredericton.
Okay.
So it's just kind of along the way, it was like I made all of these decisions. I made all of these huge sacrifices for this like really big goal. And then I felt like I did everything right. I like peaked at the right time. I won the Olympic trials. I was on like this strict diet. I lift weights 3 times a week. I do cardio 3 times a week. We're on the mats 4 to 5 times a week. I was doing everything right. I'm seeing a mental performance consultant. I'm seeing a dietitian. We have a strength coach. I have like a coach who's really good at like video scouting and like technical tactical pieces of the sport. So I felt like I was doing everything perfect, like I was being the perfect athlete. And then to be doing everything right and have everything come together like on one specific day is really challenging.
Yeah.
I like had everything come together. I was the way they had the Olympic trial system was there was a pool, and then out of the pool, like it's a single elimination, would come the fourth place person who would then wrestle up the ladder. So there was 3 people on the ladder. There was your third, second, and first. And then whoever made it to the first place person, it was best 2 out of 3. So that year, I was actually third on the ladder. So I had my match with the pool winner and I won that. I had my match against the number 2 who I'd never beaten before and I actually beat her. I actually
Wow.
managed to like suplex her in that match. I just like had a crazy good performance. And then I won 2 out of the matches. We didn't have to go to a third match or the final. But then it was kind of like looming over me that I also had this wrestle off with somebody who had put in an injury petition for the event. So it was like a couple months later, I think it was in February, and the Olympic trials were in December. So I feel like I didn't necessarily get to have the same kind of celebration and like relish that moment as much as everybody else who had won their spot. And then 2 of those athletes not only had like won their spot, but their weight classes were also already qualified. So they knew they were going to the Olympics. So it's very different circumstances for everybody that made the team.
Right.
And so this was the first year that women's wrestling had 6 weight classes. So 2 of the women had already had their weight classes qualified. And then the other 3 women had won their spots and had to qualify their weight. And then I had to have a wrestle off just to even get to the qualifier to qualify my weight.
Okay.
So I felt like I did everything right. I like felt like I peaked at the right time. It was hard to kind of maintain that and try to be peak again like a couple months later.
Yeah.
And I did my best to try to do that. I felt like I did everything right and it just didn't come together. I ended up losing that wrestle off, unfortunately. So I was officially the alternate. And that was kind of my first, I guess, difficult, like, crisis of faith, I guess, where you feel like something should be for you
Hmm.
and it doesn't work out that way. And so I was kind of that was probably the like most down I've been in my career is like if you're doing every single thing right and then you still aren't good enough on that day, like that's really challenging. And it's like, how do you come to terms with that? And so that was when I really started to do a lot more like introspective work, like working on myself as
Okay.
like I've devoted my entire life to like going to the Olympics. Like what happens actually if I never achieve that? Will I still be happy with everything that I poured into this sport and the entire journey? And I started to look at, well, what is my why? Why do I wrestle? What do I love most about this sport? Why am I doing it? And really, it comes down to all of the other pieces. It's not necessarily about that one lofty goal of like going to the Olympics because everyone has that goal. But I think who you become along the way to striving for that goal
Yeah,
is what actually defines you more as a person than whether or not you achieve it. And I feel like people don't remember your results. They remember like who you are as a person and how you make them feel more than they remember like any of your accolades.
right.
So while it's cool to like strive to want to do that and like while I still want to like I mean I am one of the best in the world. I have a couple world medals, but while
Absolutely.
I still want to be like performing at Worlds and like be on the world podium, be one of the best in the world. But I feel like who I've become in the process of trying to achieve that defines me more than any single event or medal or match that I've won. So,
It's amazing. That's
yeah.
amazing. And I get like the resiliency and just like the fortitude of your like kind of like okay looking inwards and like finding your why. I don't know if you've read that book, Simon Sinek.
I
There's like a
haven't
whole
actually. I'm like, I'm trying to get into reading again, but I'm like,
okay.
that's actually how I got into reading manga because I'm like, I'm still a little, I mean, it's been a few years now, so I should be over it, but I'm still kind of like traumatized by grad school. Like all the journal articles I had to read for my thesis, I'm just like trying to fall in love with reading again because I loved reading prior to that. But when you've read so many like academic journal articles, you start to like get turned off reading.
Totally fair.
And so I couldn't pick up a book that was like a serious book for like ever. So I'm like, how can I still like get into reading? So that's why I kind of like got into reading manga because it's like, basically like comic books.
Yeah. Oh my God. Well,
They're like
actually,
they're Japanese graphic novels. So like there's picture books.
they're wonderful. I actually well, I went to university in my 30s. I actually had a 15-year career before, left, and then went to university. And my one of my first courses that I took was Introduction to Comic Books and Manga.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was so I learned how to read those, and I definitely have an appreciation for the storytelling in those. And you're never too old to read a comic book.
100%. And they're like some of the most relatable characters, I
Oh
feel
my
like.
gosh, absolutely.
Yeah. So no shame there.
So I guess like some overlapping like what so you're in university, you have this massive lofty goal, you're working towards everything. Like what actually got you into the psychology bit and education piece, like alongside
Mm,
the wrestling?
Part of it is, I guess, also like I like my mom is kind of like I guess people say that they like look up to their parents and stuff. It's like my mom is my hero. Like I think she's awesome. She's also a like counselor. The term in Ontario is registered psychotherapist.
Okay.
So same profession, but like kind of adjacent. So like what I kind of wanted to do was combine my love for sports with I feel like the mental health piece
Okay.
because as I was going through school, it's like originally I had just wanted to be like a sports psychologist and do like be a mental performance consultant. But as I was going through, I was kind of like, you know what? Like a lot of this is based like strictly on performance enhancement, but none of it is kind of taking a holistic approach and looking at the athlete as a whole person. And I feel like that is shifting. There is a lot more attention being paid now to like athlete mental health because I was reading these studies and it's surprising because people think that like athletes are actually better adjusted than their peers and it's the opposite. They are actually more prone to have bouts of anxiety because of like performance anxiety, depression, like people talk about the post-game blues. So
Right.
they're actually more likely than their peers to be susceptible to those just because I mean, I experienced it myself. It's like after you achieve something really big, it's
Mhm.
like, what's next? You have
Right.
like a identity crisis essentially. And suddenly when you're not, when the big event is over, that's when you don't necessarily have like all of your friends or your teammates.
Mhm.
Your like support system is your coach and your like IST team. And if you're not training for something and if you're done, then you don't have access to that. And then suddenly you've lost your entire support system and you've lost your entire routine if you're like when you go into retirement. So there's things that happen in like an athlete's life cycle that I think now we're paying more attention to. But I feel like was not being paid as much attention to when I originally started my degree back in like 2000, early 2000s.
Okay. So it was very different what you had access to. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that was kind of what I like. I originally started with like my Bachelor of Recreation and Sports Studies. I had a minor in psych, and that was where like all the sports psychology classes were through kinesiology, which is why I kind of went that route. And then I was like, you know what? Like, there's not enough attention being paid to like athlete mental health. Like, I think I want to kind of expand and go that route as well, which is why I went on to like upgrade my minor into a major, and I did my honors in psych. So then basically from there, I was kind of like, okay, well, I know that in order to practice as any kind of professional, you need to have a graduate degree. It was just a matter of like, what is the pathway I want to pursue?
Okay.
So yeah, originally, I mean, I don't want to, I feel like that it's like the messy bits are like, I don't necessarily like talking about them, but they like define the journey, I guess. I ended up winning this like award for like best thesis presentation for like
Nice.
the entire honors class. And the director of graduate studies for psychology kind of wanted to have a meeting to discuss like me possibly doing my like it would have been like my master's in clinical
Okay.
psychology. So that would be kind of the route that you would go to be a registered psychologist. And so I we sat down and we were talking about it, and she knew that I wrestled. And so she was asking me like, "Oh, what do you have coming up next? Like what does your summer look like?" And, that's when I start talking about all of the like exciting things on the wrestling side of things.
Hmm.
Oh, I have this competition in, I can't remember where it was at the time. We go all these places like Italy or like Germany, or like I was talking about something like that. And she goes, "Oh, you're one of those kind of athletes." And I was like, "What do you mean?" And she went on to tell me basically that the clinical program was super demanding. Some people have a difficult time, like, a lot of people only do that program, and it's kind of like well, I've been faced with so many, like, hurdles in which people have told me that, like, "Oh, you can't do this," and I'm just like, "Watch me." But it's eventually you get to the point where, like, how much of that is just, like, stubborn resistance versus, like, kind of seeing an actual path forward. And despite the fact that I did get, like, I guess, a little snarky and, like, made a comment along the lines of, well, like, "Wow, it must suck for those people that they don't have anything else going on in their lives. That they can drop everything just for this program," but that's not me.
Hmm.
And that kind of ended up leading to a conversation into, well, what other avenues could we explore? And that led me to her giving me the name of who became my supervisor with the MED program. And that's why I kind of got into more psychology in counseling rather than clinical psychology.
Okay.
So, yeah, that was what kind of led me into that program. And I feel like I had a lot more freedom with that because there was a part-time option because 50% of the class ended up like 50% were kind of in my boat where we wanted to do outside work in the community, and the other 50% because it's the Masters of Education, we're looking at becoming school counselors. So a
Okay.
lot of them were also already working as teachers. So there was flexibility in having like doing it part time. And there was a
Okay.
lot of classes at like different times of day based on like people's schedules. So it ended up being a lot more flexible, and I ended up like making it work. And I took a really long time. I kind of took like the maximum amount of time just because I was like, okay, well, I obviously don't want to limit myself, so I'm going to do a thesis. A lot of people don't do a thesis in the Masters of Education.
Okay.
So I was like, I don't want to limit myself because eventually, like, if I decide that I want to do a PhD, you have to have a thesis, like a dissertation, to be
Mhm.
able to apply to PhD programs. So I was like, I'm obviously going to do that. But there was some semesters where it's like I was literally just registered in my like thesis course, which was worth, I think, like 9 credit hours out of 15 so that I could maintain full-time status. Um,
Okay.
but yeah, throughout school, it's kind of like I had this idea of what I wanted to do, and I always kind of, I guess, treated it like this is my plan B for when I'm done wrestling.
Nice.
So, I mean, I'm still wrestling. I'm eventually going to start practicing, but it's so difficult in, I guess, I'm also facing the challenge of the same thing I had with the clinical supervisor in like the real world now, where like I currently like my designation, if I was registered with the college, would be licensed counseling therapist candidate, so LCTC, in which you have to have basically a certain number of supervision hours and you need to have a certain number of client hours to be able to actually apply to like have your full license. So I did register with the college for a year, but I was finding it super challenging and it's hard with like time management to be able to open a practice. And I feel like there are a lot of things that don't line up with like you have to be so like empathetic and selfless and like give so much of yourself to be practicing as like a counselor or a like psychologist or a psychotherapist. Like you have to give so much of yourself and it's like being an athlete is the opposite. You
Yeah.
have to be super selfish. You like don't take anyone else's like regard into like your planning. Like you do what's best for you, especially in an individual sport. And it's like if I need to go away for a month to train, like I need to have the freedom to be able to do that because I like being a counselor will always be there. Like I have the education. I can always go back and like register with the college and do what I need to do to be like licensed.
Yes.
But like you have such a limited amount of time to be the best at being an athlete. Like it's hard to be even an older athlete, so it's like knowing that that time is like finite. I wanted
Right.
to pour everything that I had into like trying to be the best wrestler that I could be and trying to find work that supported that, which is how I kind of landed with the executive director job.
That's cool.
Yeah, so my whole life has become wrestling, wrestling for like my pursuit as an athlete, but then also like it's my day job and then also helping coach. So yeah, I love the sport, but it's become like my whole life, I guess. So,
Yeah. Hey, listen, there's nothing wrong with that. If you have a passion and it's all encompassing and like everything that you know, selectively pick around it that works with it, right? So, and I think that's amazing, right? Because you've got your backup plan, and like you said, with the finite amount of years of actually competition, like that training and transitioning to the next phase, but still being able to keep your hands around what you're passionate about. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I
It's
I
kind of, I
had
guess, what I'm doing with coaching too, because I'm like I help coach, but like I'm not the main coach. So it's like even I guess I'm doing the same thing with my coaching certification that I did with my education. It's like, oh, I'm going to take all of this stuff now and then when I'm retired from being an athlete, then I'll just have everything I need
yeah.
and it'll just be like an easier transition rather than taking years to complete something like afterwards. It's like I've kind of done it simultaneously.
Yeah. And not many people do that because then it's like, what is the next step, right? Like I think about going back when you talked about the hurdle of just kind of that dream bubble popping and then how you regrouped, like my 15-year career, that was like my whole identity. And when I made the decision to leave, that was the same thing. It was like, what's next? What do I have? So like rebuilding and then going to university and then kind of like leaving things open, like I have this background, I'll have a new background, and then what is my why, like what am I passionate about, which is I'm now nonprofit, but like it's one of those things where you really have to like where can I go and set myself up for success. So I think that's amazing, like that you've done
Yeah,
all
it's
that. And
crazy. Like, I feel like so many people do. And there's this like misconception, I think, based on what people like think they're supposed to do. Like, like, I found a lot of parallels between like mental performance and like the sports psychology stuff that I wanted to do. In my master's program, my supervisor was a career development, was his like background. So I found a lot of parallels in that because they also deal with transitions a lot. And I don't know if it's the same statistic now, but I know like a few years ago when I was looking at things, like the average person will transition in like work positions like 5 or 6 times in their like working lifespan. So it's like no longer do we live in this idea of like, oh, you graduate college and then you spend your time in this one company and like that's your job until you retire. Like
Yeah.
people do not do that anymore. Like you're in a position for maybe like 4 or 5 years and then you like a lot of people transition. Either they get promoted or they transition into like a different company or even different fields. And so I was working at like the Career Development and Employment Center for my like practicum, and then I worked there for like just like a contract work for a little bit. And I was seeing students who were going through this like identity crisis because they're like in like second or third year university and they decided that they wanted to change their major. And I was like, don't worry about it. Like, you're so young. Like, you don't have to have your life figured out at 18. Like, I don't know where this preconceived notion is, like, why we've held on to it so tight. But so many people will like have one idea and then maybe you get bored of it. Maybe it's like you find out it's not your passion. Like, whatever the reason is, people like transition multiple times in their life to like different positions or like different fields. So it's totally normal to do that. I feel like people need to talk about that more. Like you're not a failure just because you did like 5 years in this area and then you like transition to another area. Um, yeah,
It,
it
it,
doesn't make you less than because you didn't have your life figured out at 18.
yeah, totally fair. And it is, I think, like you said, like the statistics, like as the generations change and we talk more about it, I grew up in a household where like lifers in the same career, right? So when
Yeah.
and when I started, because I retired as a financial advisor and I was with the bank for 15 years and that was my whole identity. I was going to die there. Like I lived and breathed that career. So I can appreciate that, oh no, what do I do next? I failed. Like it's hard not to feel like that is a representation of your capabilities and then being like, no, actually it's not. Like
Yeah,
there's so
I
much
feel
more
like
you
the
can do.
first transition makes people look at that though. And then they go through the same thing where you have like an identity crisis because I feel like as a culture, we identify so much with what we do for work that we don't spend time like people don't say like I practice law, they say I'm a lawyer. They
Right.
don't say, "Oh, I practice medicine." They say, "I am a doctor." Like it becomes who they are, like that's who they are as a person. Like even with athletes, I am an athlete. So it's like we identify so much with what we do, but I feel like it's the sooner you can transition into thinking about who you are outside of that and
Yes.
like what actually makes you you apart from what you do for work, what actually makes you as a person, like that's when I feel like people actually start to like enjoy themselves more and that detachment from work makes it like less important in their lives. I
Yeah.
think a lot of people value things like outside of work now. There's a lot of people who like pursue like hobbies and like have a growth mindset that want to keep doing and learning and like trying new things. And it's like they don't identify with just this rigid, like, well, I'm an accountant, so I have to just do that. Like that's who I am. Like
Yeah.
you can be an accountant, but you can also love skiing or like, oh, I love cooking or like I'm learning a new language. So I think we've transitioned into that more, which I think is better for everyone's mental health.
Yeah, absolutely. Can I go back and ask what your thesis, like what your like that what you did it on? Like
Yeah, so my master's thesis was actually on the educational pathway of sports psychology in Canada.
love it. Of
Yeah,
course.
so I was actually looking at like different programs across the country to see kind of where sports psychology classes were housed. And surprise, surprise, they were all housed in like kinesiology and human kinetics and all of those degrees. And so it is difficult because I feel like you have now I think people are it is difficult because you have to like hop, skip, and jump through different degree programs to get like the background that you need to get. There's no like one pathway.
Oh,
The
okay.
individual makes the pathway. So it's like whatever you want to do your like undergrad in and do your master's in, and if you want to do your PhD, and then courses that you have to take in other faculties, it's like you can make it work. There's no like one streamline way to do things. So it's like you can be an art student and take those classes in kin. You can be a kin student and take like arts, like psych classes, like while doing your kinesiology degree. But yeah, the fact that they're not together, and then even the fact that like I couldn't do a double major in kinesiology and psychology. I had to graduate from my BRSS and then reapply to the university to do my BA.
Oh,
So even things like that, looking at like what is the possibility of like actually taking those classes that you need to have, because when you look at like the Canadian Sports Psychology Association, like what their like list of credentials, like they have credentials from both, but there's no program that offers all of it. You have to kind of make it work, unfortunately.
Okay. So you need some good supports around navigating, like, how am I going about
Yeah.
this?
Yeah. So I feel like there are a lot of people who still practice, I guess, in like one of two camps. There's either people who are strictly like they don't deal with the mental health stuff because if you need to deal with mental health stuff, they're going to refer you to like a counselor or to a psychologist. Um, or you have like the people who are counselors or psychologists that don't have like the mental performance training to do like the like sports psych side of things, like they just do mental health.
Right.
So there are a few practitioners in Canada who now do both, but um, yeah, there's no real like streamlined way to do that. You have to kind of piece together an educational background that is going to suit what you want to make your practice into.
Okay. Interesting. And how do you find, like, with your goal to eventually do the both sides of the coin together? Like, I'm sure you've have, like, people under your wing that you kind of work with now that, like, are you seeing a significant difference with kind of, like, combining that sports mentality with, like, the mental health component?
Yeah, so I mean, I would definitely like I don't currently meet the credentials to be able to like be a
Officially?
registered mental performance consultant. I would have to go back and do graduate coursework in mental performance courses, like in sports psychology.
Okay.
So that would be like in a master's program for like kinesiology.
Okay.
Because I have all of the background in like the mental health side of things, which is why I kind of was going to be like a licensed counseling therapist who like specializes in like mental performance and career development because those were my kind of two like majors when I was doing my master's program.
Right.
So
Okay.
that would be kind of like my approach. I wouldn't like I don't know if I would go back to school and like make sure that I got everything that I needed to be registered as a mental performance consultant. um, because I feel like the work that I was doing, even just when I was doing like supervision hours on just like, I believe in like a holistic like approach to like treating the whole person. So I feel like that was where like the like I really enjoy like a lot of like talk therapy and like existential therapeutic approaches.
Okay.
So like discovering your why and like finding your purpose and like that I enjoyed doing that more than I liked just like I feel like you can do sessions on like goal setting and like all the like buzzwords that you hear
Yeah.
in like sports psychology. It's like yeah, you can always kind of do that, but that isn't necessarily my passion. So
Okay. Interesting. Okay.
yeah, I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I can do like a talk on like goal setting. Like I I'm also kind of I've started doing like being a learning facilitator for the competition introduction stream for wrestling for like the NCCP, like the
Okay.
National Coaching Certification Program. So I do like do learning facilitation for those courses. So I do kind of still teach that piece to new coaches because there is an element of not just physical skills and not just wrestling skills, but also like the mental performance pieces that you work on with athletes, such as like self-talk and like emotional regulation and that kind of stuff. Because I feel like, I mean, yeah, it's seems like pretty straightforward. I guess it's just like how you apply it. Like I still have a very, I guess, basic knowledge of like basic goal setting. Like I feel like everybody knows how to adapt SMART goals to be able to like apply goal setting to their performance. Um, if you want to go like a little bit further in terms of like I mean, I'd have to look at more recent studies, but I've looked at a lot of studies on like positive self-talk and like what works versus what doesn't work on like visualization and imagery training on
Okay.
like it's basically like athletes, I guess, discovering what works the best for them and being kind of like accountable to like their own process. Same with like arousal, like everybody knows about the like peak arousal curve. Um, so it's like you have to find your like optimal performance zone. Are you somebody who's like overly anxious or are you somebody who's like tired and lackadaisical? Like what's your best arousal level to like have your peak performance where you're not going to be like overly aroused or like under aroused. So you're not like super hyper and you're making mistakes or you're not like try and hype yourself up, like, to get yourself to that, like, spot.
Right. Okay.
So, that's, like, up to the individual athlete, and as much as I enjoy, like, working with athletes on that, I also like, the pieces that I went through of, like, the who are you outside of your sport, I
Right.
enjoy, like, that stuff more.
Okay. Okay. Um, how do like I guess 'cause I was gonna go back to like that whole like goal set and stuff. Like, to use me as an example, if you're gonna give advice, um, I struggle with like just being tired. I'm 42. Um, I want to be more athletic, and I also love being a couch potato too. Like, I'm in jujitsu. My training can be like ebb and flow. Same thing with my like personal training. Like I'll do, weight training and stuff like that. And it's just like, how would you help coach someone that's like struggling with that like mindset of like,
It's so hard because, like, you can't rely on motivation because motivation is, like, all over the place.
right,
It is not, like, a reliable thing, and you can't wait to be, like, highly motivated to do something because that day might not come. You have to basically use the tools in your toolbox to try to like, you can try to increase your own motivation,
hmm
but I find that's where, like, you have to try to build a habit and rely on discipline more than motivation.
right,
Because even, like, elite level athletes are not always motivated, and you have to like, I rely on different tools all the time to, like, find motivation because
right.
some days it really isn't like, "Come on, you wanna be the best in the world," like, "The best in the world would do this." Like, sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't.
Okay,
Sometimes it'll be like in a combat sport, for example, like, people relying on you can be like a form of motivation. "Well, I have to go to practice because, like, I have my training partners need me." Or, like, I don't know, sometimes people use, like, music to, like, pump themselves up. It's like they'll put on, like, a good playlist until they, like, get in the mood and they're, like, "Okay, yeah, like, that's gonna motivate me." Or,
okay,
like, I don't know, some people use, like, comparison, like, if you follow, like, top level athletes or, like, other athletes in your sport and you see, like, them doing something, you're like, "Oh, yeah, that looks awesome. I wanna, like, go train now too." So,
right.
like, there's all different types of things you can use to kind of, like, help increase your motivation. But, yeah, it's really hard because you can't rely on strictly motivation to, like, go do your workouts all the time.
Yeah,
It's like you do need to create those habits, and sometimes you have to go even when you're not motivated to go.
right. I know that's for me, that's where I struggled the most because as an adult, you can make so many excuses, I guess.
Yeah.
And like life changes for me happening right now. So that's like navigating that. It's like a mystery bag every day.
Yeah. It's especially hard with, like, I know you have kids, and it's, like, super hard when you're, like, not just planning for yourself, it's like you have to plan around your partner and your kids, and it's like and you have your job, and it's just there's so many confounding factors that it's not just, like, you don't just have the freedom. I feel like I'm lucky, I'm in, like, a position where, like, I have the freedom to, like, structure my workouts and my training however I want, um, so not everyone has access to that, so they have to put a lot more effort into their planning than I do, for example. My
Yeah.
biggest worry is, am I gonna have enough time to recover between my lift and practice?
Okay.
So
Okay. So I guess going back to like when you first started, like how did you build that routine? Like what got you through some of those hard, like you said, motivation's gonna like wane sometimes and you're just gonna have to overcome it. Like how did you build that out for yourself?
yeah, so I'm, like, a huge advocate for time management.
Okay.
And I think that's one of the things that we try to teach, like, the younger athletes, especially, like, the varsity team that I, like, help coach is, like, we have a structured training program for them, and then it's easier when you're in school to, like, structure or if you have, like, strict, like, hours that you have to work, like, the more time slots that you have, like, assigned to you, I feel like the easier it is to plan around that.
Right.
Um, so for students, for example, it's like you have your like 5 classes a week or whatever. So you have your like class timetable. And then it's like, okay, you know that we have like lift on like Tuesday and Thursday morning at this time. And then you know that like, okay, like Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, we have practice at this time. Saturday, we have practice at this time. So then you can like schedule that. And it's like, okay, we have a tournament on this day. So I know that I have to ask for my assignments up front because I need to start working on that because I literally have this paper that's due Monday after this tournament on Saturday. So it's like, am I going to actually write my paper? Like, be honest with yourself. Are you actually
Right.
going to write the paper? Like, it's an 8-hour bus trip for us to go to Montreal to go to to go to the Concordia tournament. Are you going to write your paper on the bus? Or are you going to sit and chat with your teammates? And are we going to put on a silly movie and like you're not going to focus at all? And then after the tournament and when we're driving back, are you going to be sleeping on the bus or are you going to be writing your paper? So it's like you should probably write your paper before we leave. That way it's like off your plate and you don't have to worry about it. You can just focus on wrestling.
Right.
So it's like trying to teach that kind of like time management is like advanced planning and knowing like when things are due, like what's coming up, having like a whole schedule for like the entire term. I feel like it's harder when you're not in the school system to be like based around like it's really easy when it's like, oh, I only have to worry about like September to December and then it's
Right.
Christmas break. And
Right.
then it's like, okay, I only have to worry about like January until like exams in April and then it's summer break. So it's a little harder for people that have like positions where they're like working all 12 months of the year. But it still is the same idea that you want to plan things out in advance. You want to have like your calendar for like months in advance, like have a day planner or like one of those calendars you put on the wall when you know like important things are due or when you have like an important competition. And then just like planning to prepare for those benchmarks is kind of how I got my way through school and like managed um to study and be on the dean's list and still like perform on the mat.
That's wild. Like that is dedication because really, I like you said earlier, it's like being honest with yourself. Am I really going to write that paper afterwards? Because a lot of people don't have that too, right? And they're fumbling through because they're just you're not honest with yourself. You're like, yeah, you have you want to do something, but like your personality is like, nah, it's not going to happen. And then you kind of like fall like, ah, crap.
And it's like it's okay to make mistakes. I think that like I mean I'm a perfectionist. I like that is one of my struggles. But it's okay to not be perfect and there is a such thing as good enough.
Right.
So like that was something that I really struggled with in school is like sometimes something is just good enough.
Hmm.
Especially like in my like master's program where like with my thesis it got to the point where it's like I wanted it to be perfect and by no means did I think it was perfect, but it
Okay.
needed to just be good enough. If I like wanted it to meet like this crazy like high standard that like was just not feasible within the amount of time and with my other obligations that I had. So it's like sometimes you need to know like when good enough is just good enough. Even in the gym, it's like I don't have like strict like numbers. I have like my program has, okay, well, you need to do like 4 sets of three like power cleans, but it's like the weight isn't prescribed because it's like, what is your best effort like that day? So it's the same with like anything with work, studying, working out, practice. It's like give yourself grace. There is like a such good thing as good enough. So it's like, what does your like best effort look like that day?
Okay.
It's like some days your best effort is like 100%. Some days it's like 80%. But if you give 100% of your 80%, then you're
Mhm.
still like giving your best effort.
Right.
So that's
Yeah.
one of the things I think I had to learn along the way is like even if you're not you can't be 100% all the time. Nobody is 100% all the time. That's unrealistic.
Yeah.
So be okay with not being perfect all the time.
Okay. And as a female, like, do you track a lot of your, like, as part of all this, like, you track a lot of your, like, weights and, like your training sessions and stuff of, like, what went well, what didn't, like, that kind of stuff?
Um, I mean definitely not as much as I should. I feel like we are starting to like, I mean, when I started, there was like hardly any education around like your menstrual cycle and how that affected your performance.
Yeah,
And
that's what I
now
was
I
gonna
feel
ask.
like there are more like studies coming out and there is more information, especially in terms of like, I feel like there still isn't as much as there could be in terms of like your performance, but I think that people are focusing a lot on how it might affect your recovery. So I know there's a lot of studies on like women are actually more susceptible to injuries, especially in like a team setting when like every woman on the team is like having their menstrual cycle sync up and then
Oh,
like things like I feel like everybody knows about that study that they did on the basketball players who were like there was like three or four ACL injuries like all around the same time, and it's like because they were all like on their period at the same time that they
Okay.
were like more susceptible to injury, and it was like you have to adjust your training load based on that.
Okay.
Um, and that's like something you need to be aware of like while you're training. I definitely don't do it as much as I should. But I mean, I'm kind of like cognizant of like my energy levels and like the nutrition plan that I'm on. I do make sure that I like adequately fuel before training and like refuel after, like appropriately. It's kind of like my meals are broken up into like four meals in the day. It's like pre-workout, post-workout, pre-practice, post-practice.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's all like all the macros and stuff are structured around like how to fuel to like have a good workout and then how do you need to recover afterwards. So I do some stuff like that, and I do have like an IST team that helps me. I don't need to know all the science behind it because I thankfully have access to a registered dietitian and a strength and conditioning coach. And
That's good because that's a lot of homework in itself. Trying to, because I mean, I'm sure you see out in the world, there's like more fiber, more protein, this, that. Like it's just these trends of like it's just this constant barrage of like information of like, okay, well, which camp are you? Like, where do I need to go? This constant.
yeah, it's like, oh, what's a good fat versus a bad fat? And it's like, oh, don't eat like red meat and like, oh, what is it? Carbs are bad for you. I'm like, carbs are not bad for you. Like literally all your energy comes from carbs. Like just eat like what's generally healthy and like stay away from processed food is basically what I adhere to.
Okay.
But even then it's like the 80/20 rule. Like you don't have to be perfect all the time. Be like be strict and like stuff and like good 80% of the time and like the other 20% of the time. Like if you want a donut, eat a donut.
Yeah.
Like don't don't delay happiness. I mean, you can't like eat donuts like every day for like every meal, but like it's like everything in moderation, I feel
Yeah.
like is a good thing to if I was advising someone to say like everything in moderation.
Right.
Um, but I'm also trying to like, I mean, this is something that I struggle with as like a weight class sport is the idea that there are like good foods and bad foods and somehow like demonizing bad foods.
Hmm.
And it's like, that's not true. Like, there is no like good foods and bad foods inherently.
Hmm.
And so that's really why I started to transition to like looking at like total calories and my like macros over like just my food choices.
Okay.
I love candy and like candy is like even though people are like, "Oh, don't eat sugar," like it's just carbs. As long as you're not eating it in like in excess and it's not like your only fuel source, it's
Right.
not like it's not like don't demonize it and be like, "Oh my God, it's so bad, you can't have it," because it's that like super restrictive mindset that I feel like causes the like eating disorder
Yeah.
behavior, like the binging and like yeah. So, like realizing that you can eat dessert, like you can, like you just have to track it properly if you're
Right.
like in a sport.
O-
Um, so it's like, yeah, like I and I like fruit. It's like fruit is considered like high in sugar, but it's like I'm not gonna like not have fruit with my yogurt because people think fruit is bad. Like I'm gonna eat what I enjoy
Yeah.
and I'm gonna like track what my like macros and calories are and like I actually just moved up in weight class this year, so I'm actually enjoying like not being as restrictive as I was.
Nice.
Yeah. So I feel like there's a lot more because I was arguing that for like a really long time is like the amount of like how strict you have to be and like measuring your food like and doing all this stuff is like it's exhausting.
Hmm.
So it's like I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to be like I need to have like 150 grams of like chicken breast with like 100 grams of like whole grain rice and be that strict. Like I wanted to
Right.
have like a little more like leniency and a little more like if I want to have like pizza one day, I can have like a slice of pizza. Like just track it. Like
Yeah. That's totally fair. I've done the counting, trying to lose weight, after my second kid, and then of course hitting like just cortisol levels and just like kind of the stuff that kind of goes with a little bit afterwards that I just have this 20 pounds that I've just been stuck with. And
It
I
takes your body like years to recover from childbirth. I feel like people need to, again, give yourself grace, but like it's a huge ordeal. It's one of the reasons why I don't want to go through it. It's like it changes your body completely. So I totally get why people like have a difficult time like getting back to their like pre-pregnancy body because it's like maybe you never will.
yeah,
Like being pregnant and like going through childbirth like changes your body for like your life. Like your
yes.
hormones completely change, like how you carry your weight changes. Like some people never get their like pre-pregnancy body back. It's totally okay. It
Hmm.
doesn't make you less than just because you're not like everybody's different. Not
Yeah.
everybody is going to be that like super fit, lean person who can like bounce back right away. And it's like maybe you had that with your first child and maybe your body's changed after your second pregnancy and you can't like don't you don't have to like hold yourself to these like crazy standards. Like
Yeah.
just it's about self-love and
I,
acceptance
I
and
know that.
sunshine and all that stuff.
It's learning that though too, because there's so many conflicting things that you're surrounded with too, and as I'm sure you can appreciate that in your world as well, like what's perception on social media versus what you actually see versus what you actually experience. So it's all like trying to reconcile it in your brain. I feel like consistently like checking the
I'm constantly reminding myself that comparison is the thief of joy. And like you don't have to compare yourself to anyone. Like I know our brains are automatically wired to do that, but like you can just take a breath and disconnect from that. Like it again, it goes back to some of the stuff about like self-talk. It's
mm-hmm.
like you cannot like you don't eliminate negative self-talk.
Mm-hmm.
Like it never goes away. Like you have an inner critic. You just have to like laugh and say like, yeah, okay, whatever. Like give it a name if you want to. Like I've heard people do that. It's like, okay, Bethany, whatever you say, like,
I love it.
and then just like go about your day. It's like let the chatter happen. Realize that like just because it's a thought doesn't mean it's reality.
Right.
So you don't have to accept the like inner critic. You can just say like, okay, yeah, that's your opinion, and then just go about your day.
I love it. Awesome. And, what else do you do for your like mental health? Like, because obviously where that's where you're passionate about is the mental health aspect and the holistic aspect. So, like, what are some things aside from naming your self-critic Bethany?
Yeah. Actually, I was like, I have like these funny like alter like I call her Samantha. So
I love it. Alter ego.
yeah, the like negative voice in my head is Samantha. And when I'm like, okay, because sometimes it's like when things are really hard, it's sometimes you get like kind of like sucky.
Yes.
So the sucky like alter ego is called Samantha.
I love
Samantha.
it.
So I have those two alter egos, Samantha and Samantha. And then, I'm just regular Samantha.
I
So
love it.
I'm just like, okay, whatever. That's that personality. Time to like get back to myself. Um, yeah, I've like on and off done like meditation. Um, I find that that's like really helped, especially with like performance anxiety.
Hmm.
Really the struggle has been like I have a hard time doing it just like free meditation on my own. So I find it's like far more useful for me anyway to like I mean they say like don't worry about staying on task, like let your like thoughts drift like leaves on a stream. But I do find it easier when I'm going through like a guided meditation.
Yeah.
So for a while I had like invested in like using the Headspace app. And then I found like a couple lessons with like, so I had like this Kasanga was like the guy who was like doing it, and he has like this deep voice, and I'm like, oh, I like his voice. It's where like the female person, I was like, I didn't really resonate with her voice as much. So,
Yeah.
it's just like you need to find what works for you, and it's like there's so many different apps out there that you can use. But I found that it helped me to like be more grounded, to be less, like I noticed that I wasn't being like as reactionary to stuff. I feel like when you're not grounded, you're kind of more reactionary to things happening around you and you're more likely to like potentially take things personally rather than seeing them like objectively.
Right.
So like I found when I was doing like more like regular meditation, I was less likely to kind of just get like, I can't believe that person just did that when it's like, it's not about me. It's like they're having their own day
Right.
and like they probably aren't paying me a second thought. So why am I taking it personally if they do something? Um, but yeah, it's hard because like I feel like everything now is they want you to pay like a subscription fee and like I'm using Duolingo for like learning Japanese and it's like after every lesson they're like get super
Uh,
Duolingo and I'm like I don't want to pay for that.
yeah.
Like everything has become a subscription now. So I'm trying to find something that I like that's like accessible but also free.
Yes.
Um I mean if anybody has any recommendations
I actually
like
do. I actually do.
okay, sweet.
So through the public library, if you have a library card, you have
Yeah.
access to Rosetta Stone for free.
Okay. That is okay because that's like a really expensive one. So
Yes, it is. Yeah. So update your library
oh,
card, go in there. They'll show you how to get on the online access because there's like a whole, like a bunch of portals. Um, I know this just because with when I was teaching, I was used to facilitate adults with work essential skills. Now I do. I'm with the youth, but I would take them on the tour of the library and they would do like a presentation. I was like, "What? Rosetta Stone? That's like super pricey." And there's like free with the membership. I'm like, "Yeah."
that's awesome. Wow. I'm gonna hit up the library.
Yeah. And then you can just
That's
download it, I
awesome.
believe, on your phone. And I think you can like just like through the portal. So then you don't have to, yeah, once you're all set up.
Oh, that's awesome. That's like a huge saver. Like as much as I love Duolingo, it's like that little owl, he's like watching you and he's like, do your lessons.
Always.
And heaven forbid you don't like keep your streak. It's like, oh my God.
Oh, yes, I've been there. I was working on my French and like forever. And Christopher's like, you are obsessed with this thing. I'm like, I got to keep up my
Yeah.
streak. I had like a whole year.
Yeah. And then it's like it gives you like all these like it totally like gamification in like
Yes.
giving like little rewards of like, oh, here's this badge for getting like this amount of XP. Oh, here's like friends to keep you accountable, like do a friend streak. And then like, oh, we'll give you 3 times the like experience points if you like do this.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it's totally playing on the like people love to like get rewards. So
Yes.
it's totally exploiting that.
Very successful.
I mean, Headspace was doing that too with like the meditation, and it was like, I want to just like do it when I want to do it. I don't need you to like. It's
Prompt me.
structured like the whole day. It was like, oh, wake up with this, and then like do this
Oh,
day, and I'm like, I'm not. I don't know if I can plan on meditating like 6 times a day. Like that's a little more commitment that I'm willing to give. Not that
that's fair.
I appreciate being mindful and like mindfulness, but that's a lot of the time you just spend.
You just have to
Especially when
stop
like
everything.
yeah, if you do a course, it's like some of those like courses, it's like 20 to 30 minutes. And I'm like, I want to meditate for like 5 minutes. I have 5 minutes of my day. Like,
Yeah.
let's get grounded for 5 minutes. And then I need to move on to like, I have a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, it's totally fair. Mine is
Yeah.
box breathing. That's like, that's my
Yeah.
go-to.
See, I have a deviated septum, so I like can't really do it.
Oh,
Yeah, it's like,
frustrating.
I can't like breathe out of my left nostril, unfortunately, but
Oh.
I can sometimes when I like play around with it.
Kind of takes away from your like relaxation, fiddling with your nose to get it to get the right thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so one day I'll see about getting it fixed. But they basically were like, well, we could try to fix it now, but there's like a percentage of like times that it'll actually take. And then like even if it does take, if you like smash your nose again, then you're like right back to ground zero.
So
So
yeah, you're like, I'll wait till I
it's
retire
like,
from.
yeah, wait till I'm done wrestling. And then even then, who knows? Like, because I mean, I'll still probably like hop in at practice even when I'm coaching if like kids need me to do a go or something. So
That's fair. And you've got a big up and coming event.
yeah, so it's oh my God, it's less than 5 weeks now to the World Championships. So that's
Amazing.
super exciting, but also super like we're like in the thick of like prep where it's like we're in the loading phase and it's like it's exhausting because you're like trying to do like overload and it's like live wrestling all the time. So it's like a lot of volume and a lot of stress on the body and yeah, I definitely going through all the emotions right now. I feel like people don't talk about the emotions like during prep. It's like everyone's like, "Oh, it's awesome." Like I like practice was so good. And it's like I'm like, "No, I cried at practice yesterday." Like
Like it was hard.
Yeah, like it was hard. It was a disaster. I'm super hard on myself, which is like good because I hold myself to a high standard, but also
Right.
like terrible in that like again, it's like wanting to be perfect. And it's like if I don't have like the best practice ever, then it's like sometimes I think I have the worst practice ever. And I have to like put that in perspective of like, okay, this is just like a step on the journey. It's like you don't have to be perfect every day. Like you're
Right.
putting in the work now. And it like practice is where you're supposed to make mistakes. Like,
Hmm.
so don't be afraid of making mistakes in practice.
Right. No, it's totally fair. But I'm sure like having met so many other high athletes in your journey, like do you find that trend across the board? Like you relate to others that's like are the same? They're just like, yep.
I feel like people are like a little bit more open about talking about it now,
Yeah.
which I love, but I feel like some of it also comes like after the fact. Nobody talks about it during the prep because it's like you can't show any signs of weakness to your competitors. It's
Right.
like your competitors might be like on your socials, so like you can't show that part of your journey like while you're prepping because like I don't know, it's like still that like mentality of like it's a combat sport, you're a warrior, like
Yeah.
warriors don't show weakness. You can't show any vulnerability. So it's like people don't like talk about that stuff usually until like after. Like one of the things that I actually like I loved and kind of like commented on it was like Sarah Hildebrandt kind of was sharing the like 1 year ago journey with like she won the Olympics in Paris last year
Hmm.
and she kind of shared like behind the scenes stuff and then she also kind of was like it wasn't all glamorous like I also like I cried every day like leading up to the Olympics and like she was so open and honest about that and it's like she had some of her like she does like journaling and like she did some like video diary things where she was like talking about it and like oh yeah like my brother was my training partner and like he ended up getting COVID so then he couldn't train with me for like a period of time and that was like super upsetting and it's just like nobody talks about any of the like struggles until like after the fact
Right.
but I feel like that at least does help people to kind of like shatter that like perfect image that people
Hmm.
have because I feel like it's super easy to like even like I was talking to like Erica about like her performance in Rio when she won gold and I was like how did you like feel like going into that like how did you like did you just like know you were gonna like perform well that day and she was like, no, I was like anxious as heck. Like I was like that morning, I was like throwing up. I was like so nervous. And I was like, oh my God, like I have that happen too. Like less so now. Now I'm like able to manage it a little bit better. But I like used to when I was wrestling get so nervous and so anxious that I would like throw up before my matches.
Oh
That I would be
wow.
like, yeah, I would like basically make myself so nervous that I would like puke.
Oh.
So that's under control now. Like that's like it's not this like perfect moment that people think it is and like everybody thinks that like oh yeah it was like this perfect prep and like everything just like all the stars aligned and like this person just like had it and it's like no like they were struggling everybody struggles like it's not like nobody has a perfect prep
Hmm.
and like there are setbacks along the way but it's like you have to embrace those um, like that's all a part of the journey. Like the journey isn't like just this like nice little slope upwards. Like it's this like jagged, difficult path to
Yeah,
get there.
nosedive.
Yeah, it's like, but that's what makes it, I guess, like a worthwhile pursuit is like knowing that you're gonna face challenges along the way and like overcoming those challenges makes you stronger.
Yeah.
And it's like now I can look back and it's like I make jokes all the time. Like for example, like when I was like doing my like thesis defense, and like I think one of the reasons why I won the like best thesis presentation is like I was not nervous.
Okay.
And there's like this famous quote that like Dan Gable said, once you've wrestled, everything else is easy. And it's like 100% true. Like I basically was like, I was like, oh, I'm not stressed. And everybody else was like so nervous. They're like, oh my God, like how are you not nervous right now? I was like, first of all, I'm presenting on a topic that I feel like I'm very well versed in. I've been like
Hmm.
working on this all year. Um, I'm fully clothed. No one is trying to attack me. Like this is a good day. I'm like I'm not out there fighting for my life with like someone who's trying to essentially like murder me. So like I find that's a good day. And it's like a room full of our like professors and like my peers and like some parents who like are supporting their kids. Like nobody wants to see me fail.
Right.
So like it's a small group of people. I'm not like on an elevated stage in front of like thousands of people, and it's not being like live streamed to like however many more people.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just like compared to like doing having that happen, like and especially like heaven forbid when you lose on the world stage, like that is so much more difficult than like anything else you're gonna do in life. So yeah, I'm not really nervous about anything except wrestling.
It's a good perspective to have.
Yeah.
Now, would you ever try jujitsu?
I mean, I did try it a little bit. It's just like it's so unnatural to me just because like I mean, I did try like jujitsu classes, but I like oh, I hated it. I was like I tried to do grappling for a while back
Yes.
when like I feel like grappling, boxing, like there's so many like mixed martial arts that have like so many different jurisdictions.
Right.
So I tried to do grappling when like UWW, United World Wrestling, at the time was FILA, the Fédération Internationale Lutte Olympique, was like trying to do grappling. I was like, oh, I'm gonna try that, but I had like no experience. So I was like, I need to do like these jujitsu classes. So I just felt it so like unnatural because I'm like, I don't want to go to my back. Like in wrestling, if you
Right.
go to your back, you're pinned, you lose. So like it's so
Fair.
unnatural. Like I don't want to go to my back. And then it's like I don't ever have to worry about somebody like grabbing my neck. So it's like how you change like doing a double leg takedown, for example, like completely changes.
Hmm.
And then it's like even regular takedowns, like I would go to do like a single leg and it's like then somebody's like rolling onto their back and I'm like, what are you doing? Like
Get up.
it was so unnatural to me. And like, oh my God, the biggest thing that I found annoying is like guard pullers. Because I'm like in my stance and I'm like ready to go and then they just like lay on their back and I'm like, uh okay. And then I'm just like kind of like holding on to like their feet, being like, okay, I'm like obviously gonna try to like pass their guard, but they're like just basically on their back doing this. And I'm like, okay, I don't really know what to do with this. Like,
Love it.
it just kind of was like the first time it happened, I think I just stood there and I like literally like, just looked at them like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Because it was just like, okay, we're gonna like free roll. And then like, because it was like everyone like after the warm up, just like, oh, grab a partner, like free roll. And like my partner just like went to their back and was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And you just go to your back.
Like, walk me through this, please.
And they're like, oh, you have to like pass the guard. And I'm like, but I'm not in your guard. Like I understand like when you're like in the person's like guard, but I'm like I'm not in your guard. Like what I'm supposed to just like hold on to your ankle and like what am I doing? So I mean I didn't know any submissions at the time either. It's like after the fact, I was talking to one of the guys and it's like his favorite thing to do is heel hooks.
Oh,
And yeah, so he was like, oh, if somebody just like pulls guard, like just, grab their ankle and like for a heel lock. And I'm like, okay, like I'll take your word for it. Even though it's like I have no ability or experience to do that whatsoever. I don't even know if I did it right. But
yeah.
yeah, he made a joke that his like favorite thing to do was like what he called giant swing to heel hook.
Oh,
So basically, like he would pick the person up, like they would have their legs wrapped like the guard around him, and he would like pick them up, swing them around until their guard loosened, and then take a heel hook and submit
oh,
them. And I was
wow.
like, you're such a weirdo. Like,
Yeah. I'd be like, I'm not playing with you anymore.
yeah, I'm like, people must hate training with you. Like,
Yeah, because there's certain levels of like how you deal with your partners that will
yes.
dictate
And
your
I'm like
reputation.
so like I want like I the thing I like about wrestling is that like it's like you can like some people are very like abrasive wrestlers, but it's like I like to like feel wrestling. So it's like when people talk about like flowing and stuff, like even in jiu-jitsu, it's like that's what I would appreciate more than just like and like going through things without like I think the thing that I find hard with like both is that people have this like set notion that they want like the submission or they want to like win or like they want like in wrestling to pin the person.
Right.
So it's like they can't just like flow and like play wrestle because they're trying to like still like wrestle or flow to an objective. And it's like the best play wrestling is when you like totally don't care about that.
Right.
Like just do crazy things and roll around and like sit out when people wouldn't expect you to sit out or like stand up out of like this position and like just play around and like experiment with like different like reactions. I feel like
Right.
people get very set in their ways of like I'm gonna do X, Y, and Z and I'm gonna like execute it like bang, 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 that's my plan. And they
Right.
don't ever like explore other ways of doing things.
Yeah.
And
There's
so that's where like, yeah, I really love like a lot of stuff with like Japanese culture and like the Japanese philosophy of Kaizen of like constant never-ending improvement. So it's like I'm never like just set in like the day that I stop learning and I stop like finding new ways to do things or like I don't know, it's like everybody knows that there's like okay, there's only like this many moves in wrestling, but it's like how you set them up, how you finish them, how you transition on the ground and like how an opponent reacts. Like all of that changes every single match. So
right.
it's like everything is new and exciting and like I want to create wrestling. I don't go out there to like not wrestle.
Right.
So when people are like super defensive and they like don't want to wrestle with you, and I'm just like, come on, like let's just wrestle, like let's scramble, let's get into situations. Like I love doing that stuff. It's not necessarily conducive to like getting the win, I guess, because some people like will score one takedown and then try to like maintain the lead. So they'll like shut down wrestling. And it's like,
Oh,
I hate that. It's like I want to keep wrestling.
right. And you want to have fun with it too.
Yeah, you
Like,
have
I think
six
that's
minutes to
your
express yourself. Might as well use it.
I love it. I'm still new at mine. I'm only a blue belt in jujitsu, so there's still lots of like playing and combinations and all of that to gather. So it's all still like there's so much ahead. So
Yeah, and it's like I feel like the more you learn, the more you know that you don't know. It's like
hmm
that like it's the like the Dunning-Kruger effect. It's like people who like are beginners like and as soon as they like learn some stuff, they're like, "Oh yeah, I know it. I know it. I know everything." And it's like you really don't. And
no.
it's like the person who like believes that is kind of like uneducated and like yeah, it's like the longer I've been in the sport, the more I'm like I guess it's like being humble and realizing that like even after like so many years in the sport, it's like you don't have all the answers. Nobody has all the answers.
hmm
Like that's why we do it. That's why we do sport because like even the best in the world has weaknesses and like anybody can win on any given day. Or else why would we bother showing up to compete?
Right.
It's like if we just wanted to like compare stats and like look at like, okay, well, like this person is like does this and this. So like we're just gonna give you the gold medal. Like you don't have to wrestle. And like we'll give you the silver and okay, well like you're kind of good at this, so we'll give you bronze. And then somebody else is like, well, what about me? And it's like, no, but we objectively like measured this. So we're like, we're not even gonna bother competing. And so like
Right.
stats, any of that stuff like don't matter. Even like how people match up stylistically. Like some people could say like, oh yeah, this person's gonna win like on paper, but it's like until they actually compete, like who knows? Maybe the person they think is better like gets caught in something or like maybe they like don't do something a certain way or like they try to do something and somebody else has a better counter. Like
hmm
it's just who shows up like he's the best on that day and like everybody has strengths and weaknesses. So it's about how those match up and who has the better game plan and
That
yeah,
arms race.
that's yeah, I mean that's why people love to compete because it's like the outcome is not guaranteed.
Totally fair. I've I've not competed. I've been humming and hawing over maybe someday doing a jujitsu tournament, but
That's like that's the test. It's like you do all this studying at practice. It's like the competition is the test.
yes.
It's like, all right, we're throwing you in. How much have you really learned?
Mhm.
So that's how I think about it. So it's kind of like all these tournaments leading up to like the World Championships is like the final exam. So it's like everything leading up to it is just like tests along the way or like pop quizzes. It's like, okay, where am I at? How am I doing? What can I improve on? And then it's like the final exam is Worlds. So it's like, I mean, everyone wants to do well at the World Championships. So
I think that's
yeah.
amazing. Ugh, just I have so much respect for what you do and enjoy watching your journey. And anyways,
Thank you.
I really, really appreciate you taking the time today between training. to-
Yeah. I'm like, I talk really fast, so I apologize if I like sped through a whole bunch of stuff.
No, no, it was awesome. And I mean, you can really tell how passionate you are about the subject. Like, your identity, like how you present yourself, like you are so strong in what you believe in and your determination. I think it's absolutely amazing. And it's good to get that out so that more people can hear and like apply it to their circumstances, their journey, right?
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm hoping there was like some like good nuggets of like
Yes.
information for people. Some,
Yes.
like some wisdom poured in there between my likes and ums and fast talking.
That's okay. I say all the time, and that's awesome. That's one of my bad ones that I like rewatch. I'm like, I said that way too many times.
Yeah.
Just everything's so interesting.
Yeah.
I would have been a university student for the rest of my life, but Christopher was like, it's time to go back to the workforce.
Oh, that's where I'm like, I would love to go back. I feel like even like in my like later years of university, I stopped like just trying to like check boxes of like, well, these are the requisite courses I need to take. I'm gonna take this, this, this. Then I was like, okay, well, you have electives. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take just like random courses. So it's like I took a like history of witchcraft and wizardry course. I
Nice.
took like the sociology of death and dying. Like I took so many like crazy courses throughout my university career just because of like, you know what? I want to learn about this like crazy topic. So it's like
Absolutely.
totally awesome. Be a lifelong learner. I feel like people
Yes.
like
You
the
need
more you
that.
yeah, it's like the more you like expand your knowledge and like are well versed on like a number of topics, I feel like it enriches who you are as a person.
Yes, absolutely. I know I'll have to keep you posted now that I'll be testing you on your Japanese and I'll tell you where I'm at with my Korean.
So it definitely, yeah, it all started because like obviously I really love anime. So there's like a couple like anime phrases that I know, but I was like, you know what? Like I like went to train in Japan in 2018 before like we went to the World Cup and I loved it. And I just went back in April and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to learn, like I have to actually learn how to say things. It was like I could say like I mean, everybody knows like konnichiwa and arigato. So it's like I knew like some phrases, but then it's like the only other thing I knew how to say was like kaizuku ni ori wa naru, which means I'm gonna be the king of the pirates.
Love it.
One Piece, my favorite anime. But I was like, okay, I need to actually like study how to say things. So like I'm learning how to like introduce myself, how to order food and like
Oh,
uh,
cool.
yeah. So I know how to ask how someone is, but I don't know how to respond yet. So
Okay. You'll get there. And
yeah.
Rosetta Stone will help you big time because it's very structured. And like we'll like the reading piece and the writing piece is the like speaking piece is like kind of framing it all together.
Uh,
So
Yeah, oh my
yeah,
gosh, you must be also experiencing the like horrors of trying to like understand all of the like kanji, like the symbols. I'm like
yeah.
Korean's the same way. I was actually in Korea in November. It's amazing. Highly recommend going to visit.
Oh,
Super cool.
that's one of my life bucket list.
You have to go. It's so beautiful and everyone is so nice. I like definitely recommend going.
Yeah, definitely bucket list thing. I'm
But
gonna just
I'm like South Korea, of course. Not
yeah.
like
Yes, where we can actually go
like
around and
yeah.
I'll get to come back home.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time today. I wish
Thank
you
you
all
again
the
for
best
having me.
in your up and coming competition and I'll be still checking out your stories on your journey.
Thank you. I'll try to share more. I'm like, yeah, I was getting in the habit of like only posting like, oh, here's my like photo dump from the month. So I'm like trying to be better at like sharing stuff because people
Ah,
are like, oh, you want to see things, you want to see your training, and like, so I'm trying to be better. So
and listen, you got to have boundaries and do what works best for you too, because like the phone thing, like it ebb and flows for me. I'll be like right on it and showing stuff, and then it'll be like radio silence.
yeah,
I'm just doing stuff, and then I'm like, oh, I haven't been doing anything on this side. I better get back on there.
yeah, it's like part of it is good. The more you're living your life, the less you're like posting about it. But people do enjoy seeing the updates and seeing your
Yes.
journey. So
Well, anyways, well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
yeah, have a good weekend.
Thank you. You as well.